Alright guys, welcome back to the West Georgia Sportsman. Sorry for the mess behind me. Me and my dad are getting ready to go on a trip. We're getting things together, but so sorry that I have not posted a video in I think 2 weeks, over 2 weeks maybe. So sorry about that. Got super busy, went out of town for a little while and just really had zero time to put together a video. But now here with a video, gonna be a good one. We're talking about pond fishing today. Kind of small pond fishing, stuff like that. But before we get into the video, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out. And before we get into the video, if y'all get the chance, please go over and check out my friend, the Georgia Bassmaster, on his channel. He has not been doing so great on YouTube. He has a lot of subscribers, but people just aren't watching his videos, and that's because YouTube isn't really pushing it. And to help that, if you can go over to his channel, and I'll put the link in the description below, go to this video. It's he's talking about thinking about quitting YouTube just because of the fact that people aren't. He's not sure if people are enjoying, or not enjoying, interested in his YouTube videos. He's wondering if he should focus his attention elsewhere. And y'all go on that video, leave him a like and a comment. That would really help him out. So I'd appreciate that if you do that. He's the guy who kind of taught me how to do this whole YouTube fishing thing, so that would really help me out. And anyhow, we're going to get right into the video now that we got that out of the way. And so what we're talking about is small pond fishing. This is one of my favorite ways to fish. And this is kind of looking at what I'd have with me when I'm pond hopping, as I like to call it. And so the first thing is going to be your rod. And this is for ponds, I'd say from anywhere to 2 to like 15 or 20 acres. Something you can walk all the way around. 15 and 20 kind of getting on that bigger end of that scale, but anything smaller than that especially is going to be, a pond of 10 acres, something like that. And I personally am going to go with a spinning rod and reel combo, usually in medium to medium heavy. This is a medium heavy. Also got a medium here. Now you can go with a bait caster, and if you did, I would suggest I got the Lew's Speed Stick in medium heavy fast. And the reason I'm going to personally go with the spinning rod is versatility. When I'm talking about doing these sort of ponds, usually I'm off the bank. And so with that, you're really limited on what you can carry with you. And a spinning rod is more versatile with a bait caster as far as what it can cast and how far it can cast and stuff like that. So that's why I'm going to go with a spinning rod. Now, next thing we're going to look at is what do you carry your tackle in? And for me, there's 2 options. One is my pockets. Not that great of an option, but if you're going to a pond that maybe you don't want to be lugging a bunch of stuff around, you don't know if you're about to get kicked off, which I'm not going to recommend you go anywhere that you don't have permission to. But if you go somewhere and you're just not sure, and someone tells you to leave, you might not want to be lugging a bunch of stuff around. So pockets are a good option. The other option is a backpack. I really like a backpack. I can stuff a couple of hard boxes in there, and then my soft plastics, and be good to go. And so that's what I'll use to carry my stuff around. Then I'm gonna give y'all, I guess I got 3 hard baits and 3 soft plastic baits that we're gonna go over. That would be what I would carry with me pond fishing. This is for pretty much any pond. These will work anywhere. So we'll start off with the hard bait. It's going to go with a double willow leaf spinner bait. And for a pond, I like to have some gold in there. Kind of imitates a bluegill. This is the 6th Sense spinner bait. It's done really well for me. And when you're going to a pond, a lot of times their forage is going to be a little more limited than big lakes. So you're not really going to go with, as this is a pretty, it can pass for a bluegill or a shad. With a lot of your smaller ponds, you're going to be limited to bluegill as the main forage for bass. So you don't want to be throwing your all-white silver blade double willow leaf spinner bait. You want to throw in some gold. A Colorado blade gold spinner bait would work really well too. That really shows up as like a bluegill style color. So they would like that. And with the spinner bait, the reason I chose that is you're usually going from the bank. You don't want to get hung. And a spinner bait is a moving bait, but it doesn't have treble hooks on it. So it's a lot easier for you to not get hung than, say, something like a rattle trap or a medium to deep diving crankbait. Easy to get hung on those, not as much with a spinner bait. And also it can go through grass fairly well. A lot of little ponds are going to have a lot of vegetation in it. Then my next bait is going to be some sort of shallow diving square bill crankbait. And once again, as you can see with this Googan Mini Banger, we're going with the bluegill style color. And these are, once again, they're a little harder. The way a square bill swims, it really swims kind of down with that tail up in the air there, you know, up in the water, waving around. And so it's kind of a little bit harder for it to get hung. And so that's why this will be a good option. It's not going too deep, so it's not gonna get hung as easy. Bounces off of wood real well, so that's another great option for your pond fishing. You're just going around the bank casting, and so that's another great option. Then for my third hard bait, I've got a top water option. In my opinion, this is your best bet for pond fishing. It's the old Rebel Pop-R. The reason I like the Rebel is it makes a great little pop noise. It's not too expensive, and it has this feathered treble with that little, I don't know what they call this, but it's this shiny stuff, shows up real well in the water. Fish love that, and once again, we're trying to imitate bluegill in our little ponds. Bluegill often will come up to the surface and try to eat bugs, and it'll make a sound very similar to that Pop-R. Bass like that. So there's our three hard baits. Now we're moving on to soft plastics. All you're going to want is about a 2 or 3/0 wide gap hook and a bullet weight. So here we got our hook here, and I don't have a bullet weight sitting next to me, but yeah, that'll do, you know, standard bullet weight. And so what's so great about what I'm going to show you, all three of these baits can be rigged on this Texas rig, you know, with a bullet weight. So you can literally have one rod rigged up and you can go around with these three different baits. And so that's what we're going for with pond fishing, because you don't have a whole boat to get stuff off of. You have what you can carry on your back or in your pockets. That's what your options are. So number one, and this, well, I'm gonna save this one for last. This is our best one. So number 3 is gonna be a trick worm. This one is in Green Pumpkin Magic. Great color. My other favorite color, I don't have it with me, is Bubblegum. Bubblegum pink is a great color. And with that trick worm, you can even go weightless on your Texas rig. Just use, you can even use just an offset, not a wide gap. And all you're doing is with a weight, you just pitch it out, hop it off the bottom. Without a weight, I would pitch it up like in cover, in grass, and just twitch it. And those trick worms make a lot of crazy action, especially when they're weightless. So they are a great option for when you have like a lot of grass and you want to throw up in there. Then our next one, this one you're definitely going to want your weight with, and that is going to be some style of crawfish or pitch bait. So this is the 6th Sense style of bait right here. And just put that on a Texas rig. They are going to love that. That is an excellent option right there. And especially any place, a lot of these places will have a dam with a rock wall on it. The bass would love crawfish because that's where the crawfish like to go rocks. This would be great around stumps, trees in the water. They'd all like that. And so both of those can go on a Texas rig. I wish I had a lizard with me. I guess that's our bonus or whatever, you know. A lizard is a great pond lure. And then our last one is, in my opinion, the best pond lure, and that is just a Senko. Rigged Texas style. This is my favorite color, black and blue. But you can rig this weightless or with a weight. With a weight, it's going to fall faster. Without a weight, it's going to have more action. Excuse me. And so there you go. It's just a real simple lure, and the bass just love it, and that is just going to be a great, great option for these bass. And really what you want to do, let's talk about some ways to fish ponds better. We're talking, you know, homeowners association ponds, by the side of the road ponds, drainage ponds, anything small. A lot of times those get overlooked as far as for bass fishing. That's why they're such a great option for going. And when they do get fished, people don't fish them well. They're fishing them with bobbers, with live worms, with 3 split shots on there, and they're fishing for bluegill. Or they're just not fishing them well. And so what you need to do is when you see these ponds, don't pass them up. A lot of times they'll have some good bass in it. And if you excuse me, if you get up to the pond, you start throwing and you start catching these bass that are this big, and they're all, this big, or all this big, whatever. They're all small. And you're like, there are no big bass here. In those ponds where they're all, the same size, that big or whatever, those fish, and you'll see brim in ponds like those, or some sort of bait fish, and you'll be like, why are there so many bait fish and these fish are all this big? Well, this big bass can't eat a this big bluegill. So the problem is these bass don't have any forage that's in their size. And so you're going to have most of your bass that size. But know that when you start catching those bass, there's going to be 3 or 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 bass that are going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds in those ponds, because somehow they got bigger. They can eat all those bluegill. They can eat all those baby bass, and they are big and fat. So when you start seeing those little bass, keep fishing the big ones in there. And that might be the time to break out some more advanced stuff. You go away from what I've said and you pull out your jig, or you pull out your whopper plopper, something else. But don't pass up on these little ponds. These are great places to fish. Don't do anything illegal. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give. Try to get permission. And in the neighborhood, you can usually find someone who's going to say, yeah, I'm okay with you fishing our neighborhood pond. I use maps to find little ponds like these. You can use Google, Apple. I use Onyx Hunt. It shows me property lines so I can find public ponds that no one knows about. I like doing that. But don't pass up on these ponds. So anyhow, quick video, just had to get something out. Sorry I haven't got anything in a while. I'm going to try to get some good bass fishing videos coming up soon. But anyhow, if y'all get the chance, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. And God bless, and we'll see y'all next time.